An Nou Pale, we have an incredible episode in store. We have two folks who are going to provide perspective that we need right now in a time of political instability, a time of political uncertainty, how to do business in the country during such times, right? And of course, you know, the An Nou Pale series is a series that is about informing and educating doing business in a country that is very different from the country you're probably coming from. And so we needed someone with real weight, right? And we have two folks here that can really provide it. So you're in for a real treat. Don't change that dial. Don't change that tune. We're about to jump into it. Our guests, Daniel Fombrun and Carine Fombrun. These two have, in terms of entrepreneurship, they've done it. They've opened countless businesses and now are at a place where we can very much say they're tycoons, mavens in the particular industry that they're in. And so I want to welcome you guys and thank you so much for providing your time, providing your perspective to these potential entrepreneurs and shakers and movers here on the YouTube and Facebook land. First question I have is, and I want to take it back. I want folks to really understand who you guys are. So you guys are in the States?
We're in the States for 1960.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I was. She was born in 1959.
Mm-hmm.
So we were there for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Came back after Papa Dog died.
Yeah.
Stayed for a couple of years, left again, went to Jamaica, came back to Haiti, got married, left again, went to Florida, and came back again. And that time I said to myself, you know, it's enough. So I'm not leaving Haiti anymore. And the day I came back, that was in '93, that's when I met my wife. The same day I arrived.
Nice, nice.
And we've been together ever since.
Born in Haiti.
Born in Haiti, okay.
I was born in Haiti.
But you had about
And I left when I was 10 years old.
Okay.
I left Haiti when I was 10.
Yeah.
And did all my schooling.
School and everything.
Did all my schooling there, did all my education. And like my husband, I came back after Duvalier, the second Duvalier was ousted. We actually left after Jean-Claude left. In 1988, I came back. And I did not meet him, contrary to him, the first week. But it's been a match made in heaven since. We met, and from the first day that we met, we've not been separated since.
That's it. And really engaged in the economy and rebuilding the country. And so I'm glad you guys were able to do that. Now, certainly when you did come back, this was at a time of, you know, there's a lot of hope and optimism, certainly, but at the same time too, there was a lot of turmoil, right? Because '93, that was
got hit with the embargo.
Got hit with the embargo. So in fact, you came at potentially one of the most difficult times in the country. So
Very difficult.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, when I remember when I first came back, we'd had 12 presidents. It was every other week there was a military coup.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is that everyone knew that it was going to happen. It was nothing is a secret in it.
Yeah.
It was, everyone knew this weekend there was going to be a military coup. And you had to prepare, gather foods and whatnot, water, because you never knew what was going to happen. So we came back at a very difficult time, but no matter how difficult it was so much of a better decision to come back home rather than staying in the United States, where I know that I could have worked 40 years in the United States and never accomplished what we were able to accomplish in the 10 years that we were back and that we met. Things just sort of just happened. Yeah. It was a domino effect, but in the most positive way. You know, I mean, things just fell into place. It was a godsend.
Yeah, and so they came during an embargo, guys. Literally, that's we had a recent travel forward advisory. That's the nearest I experienced an embargo, and I can tell you things were very difficult then. And so, but literally to have a genuine legal blockade in terms of things coming in, you know, if you could come in then, I think it serves an example that what's your excuse, right? You know, you can come in,
absolutely,
you know, at other times, even times like this, that things are a bit political question marked. there's still an opportunity. And I think your first business that you guys opened was able to sort of take advantage of some of the conditions, actually. Tell me about it.
Yes.
This is what happens when you have a country such as Haiti has nothing. So everything is is a potential opportunity. There are no bad choices, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, then once you have the mindset and the discipline, and you know that that product is needed on the market, all you need to do is to have that discipline,
Execute.
and execute.
Yeah.
And don't lose focus and stay with it.
So tell us about that. So tell us about your first time. So was it your first business?
That's exactly what we did.
Was it the bakery,
we made
right?
candy.
Yeah.
We made candy until such time as the embargo stopped. So there was now a falling back in terms of sales. So we switched over now to bakery, baking bread. So we did bakery 1, then we did bakery 2, then we did bakery 3, then we did bakery 4. For 15 years.
That was bread, though. I think.
Bread.
Yeah, we did bread. We had bread, and we were still, and on a parallel, we still kept going with the sweets.
Sweets, okay.
With the
sweets.
sweets.
Because the sweets is really what propelled us. The bakery was a product that everyone needed.
Okay.
You have to eat, you have to go to the doctor. There are certain things, but what I noticed in Haiti is that you need to be able to roll with the punches.
Yeah.
You need to be able to adapt to situations so that make it work for you, because that's important.
You do need an amount of flexibility.
You've got to be
Because circumstances change all the time.
daily. Prices change daily. Circumstances change daily. When we did this building, for example, we had this great mindset to do big office spaces because it was something that was needed. But this is what we thought. When in essence, it wasn't what was needed. What was needed was small offices. It was the first time that we had anyone in Haiti had someone who had thought about small 35 square meter spaces, affordable, $600 space. This is something that was non-existent before. What you got for $600 was a little place down in Boudon. To get that kind of a space in Pétionville, because remember, after the embargo, after the earthquake, all of downtown came up to Pétionville. So we had to accommodate that. Again, this is what you call rolling with the punches, It's coming at you and you got to find a way of mounting it and beating it, because otherwise you will not make it. And that's what Haiti is all about. It's a land of opportunity, but you got to learn not to try to reinvent the wheel, but go along with what's existing and better it. And it's the assiduity. You've got it's your constant that makes you make it in this country. It's not just friends. Before we had this mentality of, you need piston. Piston is like influencing. You need to have the minister of this give you a plug-in. Whereas what I found myself in this country is to treat people with respect, let them believe in you, don't lie to them, and then that in itself will make your reputation. And once you build a good reputation, very few people can take it away from you. But the same way, if you build a bad reputation, that will destroy you.
That's right, because Haiti is a very small town. I'm telling you, everybody knows.
And they're not forgiving. But there are so many opportunities here to be done, to be had.
Haiti first, just like there's America first right now. We need a Haiti first policy, right?
But to do that, you're gonna, unfortunately, for the Haitians who are living here, you're gonna have to have the diaspora. Because we need that experience. Because remember, we lost most of our people who could. To Canada, to the United States, because do not let them fool us. They don't want Haitians, but they want every Haitian with a diploma.
They
don't want Haitians.
They want our best and brightest.
But they want the best and brightest of us.
But then what about this
So
country?
they're actually brain draining us.
That's what it is.
They have brain drained us.
But they're still continuing.
You cannot find in this country today 5 electrical engineers who can design the electrical wiring for this building.
You can't.
Don't have 5. To God.
And
So-
the ones who are here will ask you an arm and a leg,
Yeah.
which is you can't use them
Yeah.
because you just don't have the money.
Yeah. They're not even at that skill set. But so, in terms of, that's the reality. Thanks for speaking on the realities of the country.
I don't think I can think of at least 10 or 20 things, that
Yeah.
need to be made in this country.
Yeah.
That need to be produced in this country. This is off the cuff.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is that someone who comes from the States or Europe,
Yeah.
if they sit down for a week and all they have to do is look around, and they will say, "Oh my God, they don't make this here." There's a business right there.
Yeah.
So the possibilities are limitless.
That's what I tell
as far
folks
as I'm
too.
concerned.
I tell folks to kind of first, get a lay of the ground. Actually, come, make sure they visit for over a year to really get a sense of, your idea might be good, it might be a better idea, or even that idea you have. How do you probably execute it if you
But
don't
the
really
point
learn?
is, the whole trick of it is to stay within the Haiti reality.
Yeah.
In other words, this is one of the things, and because we're in the hotel business, we're in real estate.
Yeah.
We own apartment complexes. We have office buildings. We have apartments. We have hotel as well. One of the things that I always tell the people when they're first coming in, listen, dude, when you're in Rome, do as the Romans. When you're in Haiti, do as the Haitians, but better. But if you think you're gonna live the United States life in Haiti, it will not work. It just won't.
Yeah. You can't impose your idea and will onto the situation. You have to understand what the situation is, and as you said, do it better once you understand all this stuff. Great stuff. So, really, for you and the businesses you run, I guess really quick, you already mentioned you're in the hotel and you have this commercial complex. That's your primary. You're really in real estate. That's really
We are 100% real estate. We own apartment complex in Debussy downtown. Has 10 apartments. It's great. It's close to everything. Our motto in Complex Tropical, everything we own is tropical. So our motto is we have solutions. We don't have problems. For whatever problem occurs, we will find a solution. If we don't have it, we will know where to go and find the solution. But there's got to be a solution. There always has to be. So that's our motto here. So we own an apartment complex in Debussy. We have the office building here, and we have small office space. We have big office space. We have basically for every pocket, ranging from $500 spaces to
$300 spaces.
So $300 spaces, true.
They have $300 office
To
space.
to 500. When I think of Bunge started here on the second floor here because we had a tenant who started with this whole shared space project, and this is where it all started. And Bunge was friends with them, and so they allowed them to start here until they were able to get their own financing and get their own space. So that's where it started. It's unfortunate that what's happened to them.
He got burned out.
And, and
GoFundMe, by the way, is going to be brought in the link below.
as good as we are, what we did was just open our doors to them and says, anyone who wants to come in and use our space during the time to reconstruct, to rebuild themselves, they're more than welcome to come.
Fantastic. Now, real estate. Where do you see? I know that's very popular, by the way, very popular for Haitian diaspora to come in and do. But where do you see the opportunity in real estate? Is it doing it the same way that so many Haitian Americans want to do it? Like they view real estate as, okay, I'm gonna buy a little home and build it out, retire. Is there a more innovative way that Haitian diaspora could really leverage what's not here to really grow the space?
Well, it depends on. You got to pinpoint your market. If you're going for local, or you're going for tourists.
Okay.
So once you choose that, then you have to say, what level do I want to reach? Is it going to be the person who can only afford $100 a month, or is it the person who can afford $1,000 a month? So you have to determine your market.
Okay.
Once you've chosen your niche, then you can start now investigating whether or not it's worth your while.
I like that thought process.
Because your
Yeah.
your cost of construction right now, I think, is probably around $1,200 a square meter. It used to be $500 a square meter, and the rents, instead of going up, have gone down.
Okay.
So the competition is severe.
Okay.
No, it's true because when after the minister left, that put everyone in complete chaos.
Yeah, fighting for.
We're all fighting for a handful of clients. Because what happened is that once the embargo hit and it was lifted and the MINUSTA people come in and the MINUSJUS, all these international organizations, particularly after the earthquake, we had a bombardment of NGOs. And it was ridiculous because they were coming, the same organization would have 6 chapters, like Secours Islamique French, Secours Islamique Angleterre, Secours Islamique America. It was ridiculous. Red Cross Chile, Red Cross France, Red Cross America. They were all competing to make a statement, in Haiti.
Yeah, we were there.
Which one of us impacted the most?
Right.
So when they were doing the tents, they were putting tents galore. And so it was like each wanted to impact. So a lot of people, to capitalize on that, transform their homes into bed and breakfasts, and in doing so, they were transforming beautiful spaces. We had been around for 12 years before all of that, and so when they left, our space was 12 years old and needed revamping, whereas all these new places were charging $4,000, $5,000 at the time because the monies were coming in. It was emergency funds. When they say that Haiti got $96 billion or million dollars, this is a fact. But what they always fail to say is 90 of it went back. Because every time that the NGO came in to install themselves here, they certainly did, but with the money of the aid.
Yeah, they paid themselves.
100,000 came in, so they paid themselves amazing salaries. They didn't particularly care how much they spent for rents. So rents were like $3,000, $4,000. It didn't matter to them because it was all coming from money that were allocated. And every other month they were home. And I remember the Digicel people, each expat had a bodyguard and a driver and a car allocated to him. And I can tell you, I had them as tenants. The guy would be inside eating, then he would take his rest. He would take his nap. And then he would go back to work at 4 o'clock. So from 1 to 4, he was hanging out. Now, you want to ask what his driver and his bodyguards were doing? Freezing in the air-conditioned car. Wasting the gas.
AC was running.
The AC was running, blaring away. And it didn't matter. And so people are considering Haitians to be, and I know I'm changing the subject because it's not about country, but this is something that's not said enough. Yes, we got a lot of money, but a lot of it went back.
Most of it.
Okay, but the opportunities are there even for the NGOs.
So you're telling me it's not just the Clintons who just took all the money?
No, but they did a lot of damage. But they set the pace for everyone to do whatever they needed to.
Interesting. That's great info to have. So, and then you answered that question I had about the real estate and where the opportunities are. Good job on that. And so that's really the future and where things are going. But let's bring it back to politics and the political situation. We're not going to talk politics. We're not going to name any names. Just the situation, right? And the fact that I know just yesterday there was a massive convergence of a lot of different groups of protesters. Because by the way, guys, we're in the north part of Bitchonville, and we're the main road that starts taking you to Thomasin, where the president lives, Pelican area. We're right there at the very start of that road, and so I know you.
We're the eye of the hurricane.
Yeah, right. And so because you're so very close and affected to the situation, I'm sure you guys can provide very candid and earnest perspective, which is how exactly should folks try to weather a situation like this? Because first off, it's very intimidating from the outside. Somebody seeing this and it's like, oh my God, they're they're throwing rocks and doing different things, and see, this is why I don't want to come here. Like, so provide a perspective in terms of really, is it as dangerous and scary as they show it? That's number one. And secondly, you know, how have you over the years, this is your first rodeo, being here for over 30 years, how have you weathered these different protests?
Well, first one I remember was 86. No, 2004 when
We've had so many.
so many. But 2004 when we walked downtown.
Oh, the GNB. That was GNB.
GNB.
That's when we wanted to oust Aristide.
Aristide. So. And
Now it was a different.
We walked from
approach.
Place Boyer all the way to the palace, and then to Canapé Vert.
You said we, as in you guys participated?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Because we
do
still
things together.
we partook because we believed in it.
Mm-hmm.
We believed that the country needed a change, and I still believe today that we need a change. You cannot stop these people from dreaming.
Yeah.
It is inhuman that Haitians, my fellow Haitians, are living in such conditions, because by constantly putting travel advisories against Haiti, Jamaica has more crime than we do.
Yeah.
Yet there's no travel advisory against
Last year they had 2 state of emergencies.
But they spend $40 million a year
in
on
tourism.
advertising.
Yeah.
Haiti doesn't spend a dime.
0.
So, you know, what are you going to do?
But the budget is allocated, but it goes into someone's particular pocket.
The reality is that we haven't had a reasonable government in the past 100 years. We just haven't had it. And until we start choosing our leaders properly, you know, nothing is going to change.
And I tell you though, Haiti, when people ask if we did get the leadership, how quickly could this country change? I tell them 10 years. You didn't even have to be conservative. You know, how quickly, if we had the right leadership, put in the right dollars in, and this country could change that
But
quick.
there's a lot of things that you need to put in place as well. You have a lot of railings that you got to put in place.
Certainly, your perspective on it. So, given the reality, when it comes to doing business specifically, and when there's, you know, times of protest, you know, what things do you guys do for your business in particular to help weather it? I know what I do, for example, I have beds in my office for some of my outsourced employees to be able to still serve our clients. If things are too bad, they just sleep in the office. So what are some of your more unique things you guys have to do in your business that, I don't know, in real estate particularly?
Take care of our people.
Our tenants are an extension of us.
Yeah.
This is what we do. How we make sure we keep our clients is they're an extension of us. My husband is a genius as far as logistics. There is no such, I've never had a tenant come here and say, I don't have water. It's unacceptable.
So in other words, it sounds like when there's
So we purchased a truck of water just to accommodate us.
and just to make sure that in terms of crisis, they're not affected.
They're not
Yeah,
affected.
you're thinking ahead even for them.
It doesn't matter
great.
that I have to go and buy a truck of water a day, which is what we did before we owned a truck. But a tenant cannot come here and not find electricity or not find. So what we do is, you have beds in your office to accommodate. I put all of my bosses on the payroll. So I pay you so as not to have problems. So when I call you at 2 o'clock in the morning, you rest assured you will show up. Because I am paying you so as not to have problems. So if I have a problem, resolve it within 24 hours. That's all I give you. So that's our contingency. That's how we handle problems. We make sure that they don't occur,
I like
or it
that.
doesn't reach the tenant.
So let me walk that back. So it sounds like some of the things you do is you're always thinking ahead for the tenant,
Have to.
You try to have some of the infrastructure here to handle some of the issues you've experienced in the past. For example, lack of water. You have a water truck that's here on site that you can go fill it
Can't
up
get
and then
cash.
bring it back.
We have a
Right.
money transfer business here.
You have a money
we
transfer
opened
business.
up.
Okay, so
you want money in an emergency? Banks are closed. We're locked down. We have a Western Union
Western Union on site.
on site.
Yeah. Okay. There you go.
And we-
When in terms of times like this, you get the "I told you so." I told you you shouldn't come to Haiti. I told you it's a money in a bucket that's gone. You know, as folks who've been here for 30 years and this is your first protest, I guess what do you say to those people who just seem to sort of enjoy the imagery of Haiti being unstable, because it proves to them that, you see, the country's not ready. And how do you refute that? Like, 'cause I know how I refute them. I tell them,
I don't know how my husband is going to refute it, but I know I'm going to refute it by
Yeah.
telling them, if you have nothing positive to say, if you can't come here and be here, you got nothing to say. You have nothing to say because you don't have any idea of the reality of this country. It's too easy for them to sit abroad and shoot out information, most of which are wrong, are fake news. Don't sit there and hide behind Uncle Sam in the comfortable life,
on your
like the
keyboard.
senators are doing when they send all their children and all their wives out. None of their wives are here. Not even the president's wife is here.
yeah, she does. She's in New York right now. Yeah.
His kids are not here, not going to school, with all these children not going to school. So if you want to fight it, come and fight it with us. Come and fight the Constitution, that so that they can include them.
Yeah, the diaspora. Yep.
That's how I respond to that.
Love it.
Yes, a few of us were victims. I can understand that. But you know what? I'm with them.
Yeah.
I am so with them. Because things need to change in this country. It cannot go on this
And
way.
that, I think, is where we're going to cap it. We had a real substantial conversation here about not only your past and how you overcame and your experience in the country, but also we had a fantastic conversation about, how to deal with protests and your perspective in terms of how and where things need to move for the country to be better, and also, your perspective of, the Haitian diaspora providing their input of things and how they need to potentially change their mindset and actions. So I guess let me grab a final word or two that you may want to say, and take it from there. It's a final piece of nugget.
Thank you very much. It's something that we've been talking about, that we were going to do some sort of an interview to say that we, from the private sector, are with the population. Okay, many of us are with them in thought, in prayers, in action. What we are against is the destruction. Okay, go in front of them and says, we don't want him anymore, we don't want you all anymore.
Guys, listen, it was a fantastic conversation. Learned a lot. And that's what the An Nou Pale series is about. So make sure you're watching this. Make sure that big red button, subscribe to it. Subscribe to the channel in general. Definitely, and watch a bunch of other great conversations we had in the An Nou Pale playlist, right? And listen, guys, until we're back at it again, we'll be back at it again.